One of the questions that we should ask ourselves is, what is America about? What does America stand for? I don't think it's about having the most billionaires in the world or having the greatest number of appliances or electronic equipment or the best vacations. It stands for something more than materialism. I believe that America stands for respect for all human beings. In the Declaration of Independence, we talk about a country with equality, where all men are created equal. Now, clearly, not all men and women are created identical, but what the equality that was mentioned in the Declaration of Independence means is that they all get equal consideration from their government, equal respect from their government, and an equal say in how the country is run. We don't have that anymore. The way money has come into our politics, we see that the equality guaranteed by the Declaration of Independence is lost. You and I don't have the same political power that a billionaire has, who can contribute tens of millions of dollars to candidates, who has individual meetings with the president and candidates for president and tells the candidates and the president what they want. We don't have that kind of power, but we should. I mean, that was what America was about. And now somebody who believes that is considered hopelessly idealistic. And yet if there weren't people who were idealistic, we would just lose it altogether. It would just be, everything would be for sale on the market. Votes and policies and wars and subsidies and tax breaks. It's pretty close to that right now. The only power in the country that can change this are the individual human beings. But most people can't name their state representative and their senator. They can't name anybody on the United States Supreme Court. They pretty much think that running the country is somebody else's job. Well, there are plenty of people that will do that job, plenty of individuals and wealthy interests, but they aren't going to do the job for you. They're going to do the job for themselves. And that creates this gap. Every American who doesn't participate, who doesn't know who their representatives and senators are and doesn't vote and vote intelligently, creates a vacuum. And that vacuum gets filled by some special interest group that influences representatives in their own behalf. Not for you, but in their own behalf. So this is a responsibility, but I can't blame the American people entirely for this, because there's no institution that actually supports political participation in the United States. There are very few institutions that do, because the money in the country is just as glad that people don't participate, because that gives them the opportunity to have things their own way. There's three things that happen when money dominates politics. First, we lose the political equality that is guaranteed by the Declaration of Independence, because one person's political voice is much larger than another's. Another thing that happens is that the outcomes that we see favor wealthy interests. So, for instance, when you do healthcare reform, the pharmaceutical companies and the insurance companies are protected. If you consider environmental issues, the fossil fuel companies, the oil companies, and the coal companies are protected. The banks in the economy have huge protection because of the way their money dominates Washington. So the outcomes end up not being favorable to ordinary people. So those are the first two things. The first is loss of political equality, and the second are outcomes that are not democratically based, that favor a small, wealthy elite. And the third thing, and maybe this is even the most important, is you lose the basic honesty that Americans should have with their elected officials, because the elected officials don't admit that they're overly influenced by money. They say that they're doing what their constituents want, but that's not true. And so there's this sort of underlying dishonesty that gets through to the American people. It's probably why Congress has a 12% approval rating on a good day, because the American people realize that Congress actually isn't working for them. No matter what they say, they're working for big contributors. So how do we get from here to there? How do we change this? Well, the American people need to take control over the country. They need to realize that they're the boss in the country, that they're at the top there's a pyramid of our political system, and at the very top is citizen. That's where sovereignty resides. It's not, the top isn't the president, the top isn't Congress. The top is citizen, and the president and Congress work for the citizens. And so, like any other employee, they have to be supervised. The citizens have to say, this is what we want, and if you don't do this, we're going to have to let you go, and we're going to have to hire some more people that are going to do what we want. Yet American people don't have that in their heads. They don't feel their power. They don't feel their sovereignty. But it's right there. It's in the Constitution. It's in the Declaration of Independence. It's in the blood at Valley Forge and Gettysburg and Omaha Beach that has been shed by soldiers who were protecting our democracy and our rights. And we need to honor that by at least knowing who our state representative and senator is and voting in an intelligent way. After Columbine, I carried the bill to do background checks at gun shows here in Colorado. And I went to some social event, and a woman came up to me and she said, "Are you carrying that bill to do background checks at gun shows?" I said, "Yes, I am." She said, "Is it going to pass?" I said, "No. I already knew that it was going to die in the House Appropriations Committee. I needed 2 Republican votes and I only had 1. Well, she got mad. She said, "Well, that's terrible. After Columbine and all those kids being killed and the teacher dying and the guns coming from the gun show, that's terrible that that bill is not going to pass." And she got mad. And because I was the only one there, she got mad at me. She demanded, "Why isn't that bill going to pass?" I said, "Do you know who your state representative is?" She said, "No." I said, "That's why the bill's not going to pass." So the things that we do, the policies that we have here in the United States and in government, they affect everything. They affect whether the economy crashes, whether people have jobs, or whether they have retirement funds, or whether they get health care, or whether the air is breathable, or the climate changes to such an extent that it makes large parts of the world uninhabitable. Nothing could be more important than these policies that affect these our health, our economy, our environment. And yet Americans have been distracted by materialism and television, and they feel that it's somebody else's job, but it's not. And until we get it in our heads that it's our job, we're not going to do a very good job. So I guess that's my message, is that this is our job, and that's why I started Clean Slate Now, to support candidates who don't take special interest money, because then those candidates can actually represent the people that live in their districts, and maybe we can make the approval rating of Congress start to go up. But everybody needs to do something. I don't have any more obligation to work on this issue than anybody else. And so I'd like to see all of you doing something to help. So thank you for taking a few minutes to listen to me.